a big American sport that we love. It seems like not that long ago that we were talking about the NBA finals, the NBA playoffs. We're back. Opening night saw two big matchups between East contenders and West contenders. In the East, we saw the Bucks take on the Nets. The Bucks did it pretty comfortably. Giannis looked like Giannis. I think a lot of this season is going to come down to who can stop that man. Pat Connaughton and Chris Middleton were both pretty good. We talked about our boy, I shouted him a beer, Patty Mills, excellent for the Nets. KD had a good stat line. What do we think here, boys, in the East? I tend to think these will be the two best teams in the East. I can't imagine, well, what have we got? The 76ers, the Celtics, possibly bothering these guys. You'd think these two are 1 and 2 in the East?
Yeah, and you look at the other side as well with the Warriors and Lakers is that second game there. Like these are the four of the teams you could potentially talking about as your last four. So, they're going to be definitely very deep into the playoffs, into that final bracket. They're like, as long as they stay healthy, I think that's always going to be the question. If they can all stay healthy, then yeah, they can. They've got dominant rosters. They've got big names. They've got big sets there. So you can see them all gone very, very deep.
It's an interesting point you raised there about staying healthy, because in terms of depth, you think the Lakers and perhaps the Nets could absorb injuries. But what do you see a Warriors without Steph or a Bucks without Giannis doing? Perhaps depth there a little bit going towards the Lakers and the Bucks. I'll tell you what, boys.
I'm going to say Lakers, though, are old. So
they are old. I think their average age is nearly 2 years older than the next team in the NBA. But they're also just an all-star lineup. It's pretty weird to see Rajon Rondo and Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench together to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think I saw a meme this week it was the All-Star team, I think, from about 5 years ago. And it's the Los Angeles Lakers now. They've pretty much pilfered all the best talent in the league that is, a little bit older. Didn't help them in this game. The Warriors coming out winners. It was very, very interesting. LeBron was he's ageless. He shot the ball well. He had 34 points. AD played well, but I think that back end might be a bit of an issue. Russell Westbrook, not very involved. And I sent you boys a picture of his pre-game get-up. It was straight out of Scooby-Doo, or as much like to say, this was a good pick-up out of you. The starting girl from the race in Greece when they go to the big stormwater drains in Los Angeles. He was rocking some kind of scarf / singlet / colours all over the place get up. I tell you what, though, he didn't look himself in this team. Look, it's his first game. Maybe it's a little bit early to say. We are talking about a bloke that averaged a triple-double for a whole season. You'd think he'd probably find his feet in this team. What do you reckon about Russ Westbrook and the Lakers?
Yeah, well, I think you covered it. The Lakers probably going to take a month to hit their stride. I reckon get that chemistry. New guys coming in, especially old vets that have probably done it one way before and kind of have to fit into that team culture and how essentially LeBron probably wants to run that team and how they fit around him and Anthony Davis and kind of build into that team mentality, having been superstars elsewhere. So, yeah, it's probably going to, I think it'll probably take a month for them to hit their strides. Not to say they didn't do too bad in here. Like, they only lost by 7 points. So, it's, to a Warriors team led by Curry. So, they're definitely going to be there. Which is probably scary, is they can be a lot better than they have been, I think, in this game. So,
yeah. And let's go back to Steph. He had 21 points, which is a little low for him, but he had a triple-double. And it was his first triple-double since 2016. And they interviewed him after the game, and he goes, it was good that we got the win because I played like trash. He wasn't himself from three-point range. Jordan Poole really stepped up. That'll be interesting to see how the young shooting guard goes. And Klay Thompson, who knows? Because this seems like the longest time out that I've ever heard from an Achilles injury. The poor fella, he's barely played for the last 2 years, and he will be instrumental in the way that this Warriors season goes. But yeah, for them to go out and beat the Lakers when Steph kind of has an off night is very, very interesting, albeit one game.
So I was just checking it. Maybe, he did his ACL and then followed that up with a ruptured Achilles. So he's had back to back. Because I was thinking, KD's did his Achilles and came back in the same time frame that Klay Thompson was still injured. So
yeah, it makes you wonder about the extent of the injury. I'm trying to finish off my physical therapy degree, and normally an Achilles, even a complete rupture, you normally expect people back within 6 months. It's not like an ACL rehab; they tend to rehab a little bit better. The bloke's banged up, he had the ACL and then into the Achilles. It's kind of strange to see him out this long. Maybe they're just playing the conservative approach and just a kind of wait and see mentality around Klay Thompson. But with him, back in that lineup, the Splash Brothers, can he emulate the Klay of old? We will see. But they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. After a few years of being in the wilderness, after that long, illustrious run of what, 4 finals in a row.
Yeah. And the final note here I had on Klay was looking likely he'll be cleared for full contact practices within a month.
So he can't be too far off. There was a bunch of games Wednesday night, our morning today. We won't go through them all. We'll just have a look at the best performers. LaMelo Ball was very good. He had 31 points in Charlotte's win over the Pacers. He was 7 of 9 from 3-point land, so nearly as good as our Patrick Mills.
Where do you think Ball can get to by the end of this season?
Well, Rookie of the Year last year, I think he could probably get to a top 20 player in the NBA. Are the Hornets going to be bothering anyone late playoffs? No. I think they're a playoff team with him. He's got tremendous talent. He's young. But look, he can't put – I don't think he's at the stage where he can put a team on his back and just carry him through. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I probably agree with you. Maybe that's not really – well, he did score 31 points, didn't he? Yeah, I think he's growing into that sort of type of player. I can have a complete mind blank, kind of like the Atlanta Hawks.
Trae Young.
Trae Young, kind of like how Trae Young played with the Hawks, kind of carrying them in there. I think he might be growing into that kind of player.
Yeah, Trae came a long way this year. But was not that highly touted coming out of college. No one expected him to do what he did in the playoffs. So, look, that's a big comparison, but I don't think he's far off.
Yeah, I think he could. So my point being, I think he could take Charlotte where like Trae took Atlanta last year. That's my thinking. He could just get hot towards the end of the year and take him on a run.
And basketball is one of those games where, we've seen LeBron do it for fucking 15 years where any game where one player can put a team on their back and carry them, it is basketball. So interesting to see what happens with the Hornets there going forward. The Celtics and the Knicks, they played a double overtime game today, which was wild scenes 2 days into the NBA to see double overtime. Jaylen Brown put up 46 for the Celtics in a loss. It's one of the older rivalries in basketball. I expect both of these teams to be pretty good in the East. So good to see that happen today. And speaking of the East, we got to talk about it. We're Australians. The 76ers, they won today against the Pelicans without Ben Simmons. No worries. A lot of media attention around Ben Simmons going to training and not participating in drills. There seemed to be a bit of back and forth with Doc Rivers. We obviously saw him sit out of the Olympics and, said he was going to work on his shooting. And I think I said to you boys in our text, in perhaps less delicate terms, I really want to be a Ben Simmons fan, but he's really making it hard for me, boys. What do we think?
Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
It's he wants out, and I think he's pushing that message as well. I think I used the Marshawn Lynch quote. I'm only here because I don't want to get fined. Essentially, he's shown up to training to capture paycheck. He's not going to work overly hard for that. He's just going to do what he needs to do. And if that's not what the 76ers want, then you should trade me and move me on. I think he's what he's getting at, because it doesn't sound like he wants to be there.
It's hard on his teammates because all of that shit, for mine, should be sorted out in the off season when you're, reporting and you're meant to be doing a job for a team. And Joel Embiid didn't hold back with his comments. I think saying it's not his job to babysit Ben. It seems like an absolute shit show there in the city of brotherly love. And look, it'd be interesting to see what happens moving forward. And it's difficult for us as Australian basketball fans. Yeah.
I don't think they can keep the situation going.
No.
They don't want to be paying Ben a max contract if he's going to sit on the sideline. You just wait. You're just wasting that away. You're paying him for nothing and you get nothing in return.
Yeah, but Ben's not doing himself any favors either. Like he's
Okay.
not helping his stock. Like, what coach is going to want to bring someone in with that attitude, and what team is going to want someone with that in their locker room? Like, he's just really ostracizing himself from all the players in the league. Really.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, talent and versus attitude. We spoke highly of Patty Mills before. A guy that's undersized, that perhaps doesn't have all the physical attributes that Ben Simmons has, but what he's got is heart and attitude, and he's got it in spades. And look, you ask any basketball fan, especially of the Australian variety, who you'd rather on your team, and I think 99% would be taking Patty Mills.
Especially when he's 100% for three pointers at the moment.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, let's go. They, interestingly, I think the Nets take on the 76ers tomorrow night. So that will be interesting to see what happens there. Boys, the NBA is back. I can't wait. I do also need to piss my pants. So if one of you could please let us into the soccer of the week, and I'll be back in a minute. Thank you very much.
Well, I might stall for a minute and talk about MVPs because I think
good point. Yep. That point. Yep.
Yeah. So potential, because we talked a little bit about who we think are finals, and there are some excellent teams kind of floating around. Two that we didn't talk about that also played today were the Suns and the Nuggets. Suns losing to the Nuggets, and my MVP kind of shout would be last year's MVP. We've got to talk about the Joker because he's still doing Joker things, and if he stays as healthy as he does and puts up the numbers that he does with the amount of triple doubles as well, didn't get a triple double in that game, but if he continues that kind of form, maybe he can go back to back. I don't think back to back's a pretty regular thing in the NBA. I will double check that quickly. But do you have any thoughts, Max, on a MVP for the league this year?
No, yeah, I think you're pretty.
I do lie because the Joker won it last year, of course. Sorry to interrupt you. Anas won it the 2 years before that, so he went back to back. Westbrook, then Curry won it back to back. Durant won one, then LeBron won it back to back. Rose, then LeBron won it back to back. Tim Duncan won it back to back. So
it happens a lot.
Michael Magic. Yeah, so winning MVPs back happens a fair bit in the NBA. So the Joker maybe to go back to back would be a fair shout. I'm not sure if you can pull up some odds real quick.
That's it.
He might be towards the top.
No, definitely. And I think that just shouts volumes about the consistency of the NBA players at the moment, especially at that high level. So yeah, to that, Joker and the Greek Freak are both sitting at $6 as favourites for the MVP for this season. Behind them, we've got KD sitting at $7.50. Steph Curry's always thereabouts at $8.50. And then it starts dropping off with Embiid at $10 and LeBron James at $14.
I was going to ask you where LeBron was, because if he keeps putting up, what was it, 34 points, 11 assists and 5 rebounds, or it might have been 11 rebounds and 5 assists, depending how he wrote it. If he can stay healthy and do that all year, then and if he plays predominantly a lot of the games and doesn't get rested very much, of course he can be in that conversation for MVP. But my pick was the Joker. Peps, do you have a pick for MVP? Monks just said, what was it? Joker and Giannis are $6, and they're the top favorites at the moment for MVP.
I'm going to take Giannis. Nothing to take away from Nikola Jokic. One of the best seasons we've seen from a centre in a long, long time. But just that playoff run, especially after he had that nasty-looking knee injury where he only missed a few games, to come back and just dominate. I think the NBA, look, we love the regular season, but I think the playoffs come down to who can guard Giannis and slow him down. He'll be my early pick for the MVP. In terms of taking out the competition, I think that's a bit of a different one, because he probably doesn't have the supporting cast that some other teams have. The Lakers, despite, look, they lost its one game out of 82. I think they're very, very stacked. I'll take the Lakers in the West, and I'll take I'll say Bucks and Lakers finals.
Yeah, and as I was just saying before to Monks, there's a lot of teams that could potentially make it deep into that finals. We didn't talk about the Suns, of course. Nuggets as well, and play playoffs. Of course, there's the Hawks there. Like, there's a lot of really good teams. As they always are, but there's a lot of really good talent there. 76ers players.
There's no reason why the Jazz can't go deep. So look, obviously, on paper, you look at these Nets and Lakers and the defending champs in the Bucks, but there's no reason why a Suns or a Jazz or a young Hawks, or if the 76ers can get their shit together, that they can't go deep. Look, the Celtics, who knows? Anyways, the NBA's back. Can't wait. And I just want
to cover up for you. If Giannis does win the MVP, he would have won 3 from the last 4 too. So.
Yeah, right. I've also done a Frank the Tank. The Joker's sitting at 15 odds at the moment. I was thinking Luka is at $6.
Luka.
Oh, look, we all make mistakes. At least a couple of minutes in between realising, unlike the Frank the Tank Kaminsky, where it was about 2 hours before we realised.
That's it, yeah.
That's live podcasting.
Exactly. So if I go back to favourites for the season, so yeah, Lakers are favourites to win the West at $2.88. Nets are favourites to win the East at $2.20. Bucks are at $4 there. And we have got the Nets winning it all at $3.50.
Yeah.
Excuse me for my ignorance, but $2 whatever, $2.20, $2.80 to take out a whole conference, that's way too short for mine.
Considering it's day 1, day 2. That's short.
81 games to go. Like, you can't just go off a team on paper. And as we saw, a lot of it comes down to what happens in the playoffs. Like, a lot of people were saying, it's the Nets last year. They've put together this big 3. They're the monsters, as we were referring to them, and they didn't even make the conference finals. So, conference final? No, the one before. Anyways, point being is that is way too short for mine. I don't like any of that, and I'd love to see a smaller franchise this year. Like your Suns, like your Jazz, like your Hawks go deep in this NBA season.
Let's see. Well, you mentioned the Hawks. They're $19 at the moment for Eastern Conference. So yeah, and they pushed it pretty deep last year as well. So
Be interesting to see. Anyways, got a lot of NBA ahead of us.
That's it.